I spoke with Adnan Zulfiqar, a fellow at the Truman National Security Project, about conditions inside Syria. He recently returned from the area near Syria's border with Turkey and got a first-hand look at what's going on there. And I asked him about the current situation on the ground.
It's a very fluid situation. I was there a couple months ago. From a humanitarian standpoint, the situation is increasingly dire. You have within Turkey itself upwards of 800,000 or more refugees coming in, not to mention Syrians who've come there on their passport as well. So there's a huge Syrian population that is now in Turkey. It's taxing the Turks a little bit in terms of their resources, and they themselves are struggling because really without many resources. Winter has been here. That has raised some really serious humanitarian questions, which the UN and other agencies have pointed out. In addition to that, what you are seeing is a real dismay with regard to how the world is approaching the Syrian revolution, as they refer to it. For a lot of people who I met with in the opposition, they felt a real sense of abandonment. They felt that the world had let them go to the wayside. Many would point out the fact that, well, you intervened in Libya, the Americans and everyone intervened in Libya to prevent a genocide. Well, we are approaching 70,000 dead. Like, when will you consider this to be enough lives for you to intervene? So there was a real sense of that. And then I think there was, you could sense that within the ranks as well, particularly among the fighters that I met. I got an opportunity to sit with many of the Islamist fighters and engage them as to sort of what was happening on the field, on the ground. And for many of them, they are beginning to get a sense that, everyone has abandoned us. It's up to us ourselves, and we're going to handle it. That, to some degree, can potentially be a scary situation.
Well, it's a complicated situation because when you're talking about the opposition, it seems like there are quite a few different factions. Is there a plan? Do they have a plan once Assad is gone, if he's gone? Because it seems like there's the potential for Syria to be even more unstable than it already is.
Right. And I mean, I think we have to deal with the reality. I think we have to deal with a couple realities. There are all indications that the way that we are trending here, eventually Assad will be incredibly minimalized within the country or will be gone. So that's something that, whether it happens a year, 2, 5 years from now, that's where the trend seems to be. The second thing that I think we have to be aware of is, yes, the initial period after a fall of the Assad regime or his minimization is going to be unstable. Like any situation where you sort of have a new emerging democracy, if you will, or a state that's coming out of conflict, you're going to have a level of instability. The question really at the moment is that you have two main groups. You have a group that is inside Syria. They are average Syrians and they are Syrian fighters. And then you have the political opposition, who are still connected inside, but are trying to do this balancing act. On the one hand, they have to make sure that they're saying all the right things and doing all the right things in order to get support from outside nations who are concerned with regard to this instability, with regard to a potential civil war, with regard to sectarian conflict. At the same time, they also have to make sure that they remain relevant to Syrians on the ground. This is a real issue as we move forward, particularly because, as I tell a lot of people, you do have Islamist groups that are some of them more extreme than others, but a real range of them that are fighting within the country. The real question for us is not what their numbers are right now. The real question for us is, what is their mass appeal going to be? And the longer this conflict prolongs, the more we are seeing daily and weekly that people are embracing the Islamist fighters, even the extreme ones, as the only people who are really standing up for Syria and for Syrian lives.
Adnan Zulfiqar, thank you so much for your time and insight. We'll leave it there.
Thanks so much.